Have you ever been headed out to your car and you're about to take a trip and you get in and you're just thinking to yourself, man, it'd be really nice if my head unit was like a tablet where I could just download anything I want. So when I'm on this trip, I could stream things, or I could hop on Facebook or Instagram or do whatever I want, right? Why do they have to limit it? Well, if you have thought that, I want to check this out. So what exactly is this little box, and why are so many people grabbing hold of these and using them? One of the reasons that so many people are moving to boxes like this, or really like them, is because they do kind of a couple things. It essentially turns your head unit into a full Android system. Now, what does that mean? Essentially what that means is, imagine you now have a tablet. It's sitting in front of you and you can download anything you want on it. So you have the Play Store, so you can go find any app that you want, whether it's something like a streaming service that you normally wouldn't be able to download, and you can use that streaming service, whether you're driving or sitting still, obviously safely. But there's also all those other apps that are kind of auxiliary apps that you just can't get, right? That you may want to take advantage of. So if you want TikTok, if you want Instagram, if you want Facebook, if you want ChatGPT, if you want Google Gemini, I mean, the list is long of the top, apps that most people download and use regularly. You can take advantage of that. That is one of the main reasons that people are flocking to something like this. But the real question is, how easy is it to set up? Can me, the average Joe, do this? I take the box. On the box, there's only one place to plug in the USB-C, and then I plug it into that same jack that I would typically if I was going to take advantage of Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Now, speaking of that, this will work in any vehicle that's already set up with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, whether it's wired or wireless. So you'll plug the box in, the box will light up, it'll take a couple minutes, and then it'll load up and you'll see the home screen. Now, once you get here, there's going to be a couple things you initially need to do, and then from then on, there's only really one extra step. So let's talk about that for a second. To take advantage of all the different apps, you're going to have to be able to provide the box with data. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to go into settings. Now, there's three different options you have as far as this, right? So I'm going to go to Wi-Fi. The way I prefer to do this is I simply use my phone and I turn on the hotspot and allow this box to connect up to the hotspot that my phone creates. Now, the box also offers you the ability to use a SIM card. So if that's something you want to take advantage of, you could, but typically there's going to be a monthly cost associated with that, and this is not something I want to do. And the last is it can connect to Wi-Fi. So if you're sitting outside your house and you're downloading stuff, you could do it via Wi-Fi, right? So three different options and different ways you can do the first part. Now, once you're connected up and you're giving it data, from there you can take advantage of any of the apps that you want. Now, coming in here, the first thing you're probably going to want to do is come into the Play Store. Now, when you get into the Play Store, you're probably going to need to log yourself in. Once you've logged in, from there, you can start downloading any of the apps you want, right? So if you want to go to the top charts or just go down and figure out what you have that you want to download, okay, take advantage. Download anything you want. So if you come in here and you see something specific, let's pretend Temu. I can't live without it. Cool. All I got to do, hit install. It'll start loading up and it'll install. Where it's going to land, if I go into my apps, I'll scroll to the very last page and it's going to land right there. So obviously I can see that it's downloading right now, but I can see all of my apps. Some of these are going to come preloaded onto here and the rest you're just going to download. So it gives you the ability to download anything that you want. Arguably, what I would say the hardest part about the install is really not setting it up. It's more of just remembering all your logins.
Does anybody know that password? Because otherwise we can't do any work.
Try password.
Nope.
Try 0000000.
Because when you download an app, you got to log into Prime Video or Netflix. A lot of times it's going to prompt you want to send a message to your phone, and you got all these, these security settings. So the hardest part, I would argue, is the initial setup of just remembering what your logins are. But once you're into them, easy peasy. From then on out, you can just jump in, turn it on, select it, and go. So obviously it looks cool, but the question is, does it really work? So there's three big things that really stand out to me that would make somebody want to buy a box like this. The first thing is going to be take advantage of apps that you already have in Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, what's different about this is you get the full version of the app when you do it this way. And what I mean by that is, let's pretend I'm driving down the road. I could take advantage of a search and I can type in a search. So at any given point, I can come in here and type in an artist and select them. When you come in here, you have the full version of the app. So I have all the songs that I've liked. I can see their popular discography. I can see artist picks. I can see things that they're featured on. I can get to all of this data, right? It's a full version of the app, not kind of the cut up version that you get when you use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The second part that I really like about this is you can of course take advantage of streaming services, right? That's a big one for a lot of people. And there's a million different reasons, right? Maybe I'm taking a long road trip and I want my passengers to be able to watch something, right? Maybe I'm sitting waiting for something. Maybe I have to pick up somebody on the daily. It's my kids and I'm sitting out there waiting to pick them up. I would love to be able to watch a show on this instead of having to watch it on my phone, right? And I can listen to it through the speakers. That becomes incredibly powerful, right? So let's pretend Veronica Mars here is something I wanted to watch. I can pull this up and I can stream it. So we can all come with a ton of different reasons that you would maybe want to take advantage of a streaming service. Long road trips, you're sitting waiting for somebody, you're killing time, things like that. And it works for all of them. So whether you're using, specifically Netflix, or maybe you want to come back into the apps and you want to go into Prime Video, or maybe you want Disney, or maybe you want Hulu, or maybe you want, whatever it is, Peacock or whatever it is, all you got to do is download the app, log in, and take advantage of it like you normally would. All right, so the third part that I really like about this is the customization piece to it. And let me explain what I mean by that. So let's say I open up Maps, for example, right? And we'll select Barton Springs here. So I've got my directions going, right? So I've got that up and running. Now let's pull up a secondary app. So let's say I want to have Spotify running at the same time. Now, in Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, the main screen will kind of give you a version of this that you can take advantage of. But what I really like about this is I can be driving down the road and I already know that I got to stay on this road, let's say for the next 20 miles. I can slide this piece over, make this a little bit bigger, be playing inside of here, putting on whatever I want to listen to, making sure it goes to the right song. And then if I have a turn coming back up, I can grab the slider and slide it back across. It gives me just a different way to take advantage of this. So obviously you can understand how the customization piece is just nice and easy to enjoy.
All right, guys, so you've seen how the box works. So let's talk about some of the pros and some of the cons. Now, the pros, I think, are pretty straightforward, right? We all understand that essentially this is an overlay on top of your current system that just kind of opens it up. It gives you more versatility, more usage, right? But the cons is where I want to focus because I want to make sure everyone's on the same page. So the initial con that I would start off with is there's a little bit of delay when it comes to the boot time, right? Normally when you connect up to Apple CarPlay, a lot of times it's not instantaneously starting up the minute the car starts. So understand that this is similar to that, right? It's going to add a little bit of time. Not necessarily in the world, it wasn't particularly long, but it's just something to be aware of. Occasionally you run into lag and data needs and things like that. So that's the other part to this, is that when you do get in the car, I would say 50% of the time, it's going to automatically connect up to my Wi-Fi hotspot if I already have it turned on when I'm getting in. The other 50% of the time, I'm going to have to open up the settings screen and just hit connect. Not the end of the world, but if you're looking for the simplest option, right? If you're a simplicity type person, this isn't going to be it, right? Because there may be an extra step on the rare occasion. So who do I ultimately think that this is probably for? I would say tech lovers for sure, right? If you're just a tech person and you like kind of having additional abilities inside of your phone or inside of your touchscreens, right? Or anything that's in your house, this makes a lot of sense. If you take a lot of road trips, right? If you take a lot of road trips, this just makes a ton of sense because, man, then it opens up all these different things, like from a streaming aspect of, man, I can use any mapping system I want. And on top of that, I can take advantage of any streaming service I want. So if I'm going to be in the car for multiple hours, it just makes a lot of sense. Commuters, if you spend a lot of time in the car, I find that I use this a lot for that. If I get caught in traffic at 5:30 going home and I'm like, well, I'm about to be sitting in a parking lot on the highway, it's nice to be able to pull up and just have a show going. Like I put on The Office, something I've seen a million times, and just being able to listen into it and kind of glance over on the occasion. Obviously, you got to be safe about it, right? Like, don't be an idiot, don't crash your car, but it's really nice to have, right? Now, if you're a family, there are boxes that are offered that even offer HDMI inputs to where you could run that to like a rear entertainment system. This becomes super clutch because then you may be taking a road trip with the family and you're saying, hey, well, I can control it on this screen. Can I control it on my rear screens? Yeah. This box specifically isn't designed for that, but they do offer boxes that do that. There are plenty of them out there. So just something to keep in mind. The people I'd say this is not for is those simplicity seekers, right? The person who wants it just to seamlessly work without touching or doing anything. For those people, I would say, I don't even know if Apple CarPlay or Android Auto is for you. I would say you might just want to work off the normal head unit, right? You might want to use things like XM Series if it's already built in or things like that. But if you don't mind, maybe one extra step, you can get all of these additional features. So let's talk value. The fact that I can do this the same as Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, right? The setup is super simple. I just plug it in. And if I sell the car, I'm not losing this tech. I can just take it out of the car and move it to my new car. In the same capacity, if I'm in my car and we're going to take the road trip in my girlfriend's car, my wife's car, my buddy's car, right? You fill in the blank with that person. It's really cool to know, hey, does your car take Apple CarPlay or Android Auto? Cool. Let me take the box and we'll bring it with us and we can use it in your car, right? So I love that. And that creates value for me. From a pricing perspective, if I can spend $100, $200 and get so much more out of it, depending on how much you use your vehicle, to me, that's just worth it. Now, that sliding scale of what is priced to these items and these values worth, I'm going to let you decide that. But ultimately for me, I've used one of these over the last, I don't know how many years of different versions of boxes, and I think they're fantastic, right? It just really makes sense and it really helps out and makes life a little bit better. So ultimately, what's the verdict? For me personally, this can make a car start to feel like a smart device. And I didn't have to buy a Tesla to do it, right? It's nice to be able to just say, hey, I can simply plug in a box and then gain so much more out of it. Now, it does come at a cost, one, a actual cost, and two, hey, I may be taking on some cons of, well, I got to connect to a hotspot. Maybe data matters to me, right? Or, hey, every once in a while, I may have to update software or things like that. Okay. For me, though, when I'm weighing this out, from a verdict aspect, I would say the pros of what this offers strongly outweigh the cons. So if this is something that interests you, I will throw a link down in the description of ways that you can view it. Check it out. I also have a coupon code. I'm an affiliate, so I can save you some money if you do decide you want to purchase one. I'll also have the model number of the one that I'm using. And then, of course, when you hop on their website, you can check out all the other models in case there's something specific that you're looking for that doesn't come out of the most basic version of the box. So feel free to check that out. Hopefully it helps out. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Talk to you later.